do not need to be as independent as judges are, because they are not ultimately the decision makers. They decide whether to prosecute or not. But having said that, it's extraordinarily important that that power to prosecute, which is it's a very, very potent power, should be exercised for proper reasons and not be abused. So, first answer is no, it's not the same independence as judges, but it requires a sort of a rigorous, stiff backbone that allows prosecutors to resist attempts to abuse their prosecutorial power. The attempts there will always be. I don't think that one can ever exclude them. How to do it? It ultimately depends, I think, not on the law, but on the culture in our society. There was an extraordinary culture from Bulelani and Nuka through to Vusi in the Scorpions. An extraordinary culture of independence, that they consciously appreciated how important it was for the country that they act fearlessly and independently and not allow themselves to be manipulated. And I think that culture of independence ultimately is the strongest safeguard, rather than the mechanisms of the law, as we've seen, are at best less than effective. Whether we can improve those mechanisms, I think we certainly can if we want to, but we first need to get that political will, that societal consensus that we need to fix this problem. But yes, I would have thought that we could do more, and I would think, for instance, that when an NDPP stands alone and is under attack, there should be some kind of council or body, an institution, which can stand up and speak and act on his or her behalf. You know, I don't know whether the Judicial Service Commission or some such body, so that it isn't left to one person to fend for themselves. So I don't really know what the answer is, Dave, as far as the institutional mechanisms are concerned. I think it ultimately depends on culture. The culture depends on all of us, how much of this we're prepared to tolerate.
Dave, you know, historically, the prosecutors worked under the direction and control of the Minister of Justice until 1992, when we had the Attorneys General Act, which sought to bestow some level of independence on the prosecutors. Now, 1992 is after the unbanning of the ANC, PAC, and PCM.
And then that's discovered the value of prosecutorial independence.
Exactly. Clearly, it was just a smart political move on their part, because now they're not sure of the new government whether, you know, they're not going to be, persecuted. You know, I remember, you know, when Ikubi Kotse was asked about that act of 1992, but have they not been independent all along? You know, his answer was, he said, no, you know, from time to time I would invite them to conformity. Or I would vibrate my feelings against them, you know, which was all euphemism for saying, actually, you know, I used to tell them what to do, you know. So for me, the starting point will be the manner of appointment of the NDPP, because it is not transparent. The president just decides as to whom to appoint. Where there's no transparency, there's no accountability. So we need to find a mechanism of ensuring that that process is a transparent way. And again, the NPA occupies a very difficult position in the sense that whilst it has got, you know, this constitutionally guaranteed independence, you know. It sits between the three, you know. It's not part of the executive, but the minister exercises, you know, final responsibility over it. It's not in the judiciary, obviously, but, you know, it works closely with the judiciary. It's not part of the legislature, but it accounts to the legislature, you know. And I think what perhaps causes a little bit of confusion is what is stated in the Constitution, that the minister responsible for the administration of justice exercises final responsibility over the NPA. What does that mean? You see, I think this is where ministers intend to fudge issues. But the NPA Act itself is clear on that, because it tabulates, you know, how this responsibility is to be exercised by the minister, by giving reports to the minister, by explaining certain decisions, falling short of saying the minister shall not instruct the NTPP when it comes to issues of prosecution.
As Mr. Simelani was advised in the opinion he got. Can I give you an example of what I mean by culture? There's actually always been quite a strong culture of independence amongst our judiciary. Even in the apartheid days. I'm not saying all judges lived up to that culture, but the culture was always one of independence. You'll know the story, I think, of the Nat Minister of Justice, I think it might have been Oswald Piro, who complained that you appoint one of your loyalists to the bench, and within 6 months they persuade themselves that they've been appointed on merit and they start acting independently.